Yesterday we talked about work. Today, I want to talk about power. If we wanted to calculate the amount of work that I'm doing, all we would do is have to know how much weight I'm lifting and how far I'm lifting it. We could measure the distance that this weight moves right over here. If I knew the force that I'm lifting and the distance that it moves, we would know the work that I've done. Let's talk about lifting free weights. So if I do a curl here with this weight, I need to know the weight that I'm lifting and the distance that I lift it in order to calculate work. Now, technically I do know that when you lift weights that you're supposed to go down really slow, but for our purposes we're going to assume gravity does the work pulling it down. I know that when you lift you're supposed to do this, but for our purposes we're only going to count when we lift it up, not when we lift it down. So if I did 10 reps of this, we could count the distance that I did 10 times the weight that I lifted. Okay? Weight, remember, is mg. But is there a difference in doing 10 reps like this or 10 reps like this? What's the difference? The rate at which you do work is called power. Work is known as force times distance. The force that you lift times the distance that you lift. If you take that divided by the time it takes you to lift, then you get power. This would be lower power than this. In today's lab, we're going to be looking at not only work, we're also going to be looking at power. So you're going to be lifting some weights, calculating the work that you do, and the power output that you have. Power is measured in watts. Let's take a look at the units that we're talking about here. Work is force measured in newtons times distance measured in meters. It's a newton meter, also known as a joule. Power is work divided by time. Joules divided by seconds. Joules divided by seconds is known as a watt. Power is also measured in another unit called horsepower. Horsepower was originally done for cars when we went from carriages to cars. They wanted to figure out how much energy or how much power a car had. So they compared it to the only thing they knew that pulled stuff, and that was horses. So if you pull with 1 horsepower, you're pulling with enough energy in a given unit of time, enough watts to equal about a horse. It's 746 watts. So if you can pull or push with 746 watts, you're as tough as a horse. So here's how today's lab is going to work. You're going to do 5 exercises, all with different parts of your body, so that we can see which parts of your body can do more work or really do more power. You're going to measure the amount of weight that you lift, you're going to measure the distance that you lift it, and you're going to measure how much time it takes you to lift these things. Now, you're probably going to want to do either 5 or 10 reps. If that's the case, be sure you either multiply the time by 5, or divide the time by 5, or multiply the distance by 5, or 10, or however many reps that you do. So from that, you can calculate the force that you lift, the distance that you lifted, thus you can get the work that you lifted. And since you're timing how long it takes you to do it, you can get the power in watts that you actually are able to do. Then you can convert that into horsepower by dividing by 746. So you're going to do 5 different exercises, and I would like you to do 3 different weights. I would like you to do an easy weight, a medium weight, and then maybe one that might challenge you a little bit. I don't want you to hurt yourself, but try to see if you can find a peak power. Is there a certain weight that you lift? Maybe you lift very little weight, but you lift it really fast. Or maybe you can lift a lot of weight at a slower pace, but that's also going to give you power. So can you find a peak power? Personal trainers do this when they actually create exercises and workouts that are specific to people. They try to max out the amount of work that the person does by how many reps they do and how many different sets they can do in order to maximize the amount of work, or they try to maximize the amount of power that those people do, depending upon their goals in exercising. If you typically want to do a lose weight kind of thing, you're going to do a lot less weight, but you're going to do a lot more reps. If you want to really bulk up, you're going to do a lot more weight and probably less reps. But the best way to look at it is how much weight can you do in order to get a peak amount of work out of your workout, as well as a good amount of power. Very, very few workouts have you max out every day. That's not the idea behind lifting. The idea is, can you do amount of work on your body in order to get your muscles bigger or more flexible or whatever it is your goals are. So have fun, work through the worksheet, and let me know if you have any questions.